All right, so welcome in today. We're going to dive into the NFT side of what's happening in what I think is one of the biggest projects out there, and that is VeVe. As you guys know, we have covered this quite a bit on the channel, really looking at not only the future of what it holds for NFTs, but also the potential of how collectibles will really play out in cryptocurrencies, the metaverse, NFTs, all that stuff. We're going to dive in deep. My name is Paul Barrow. Welcome back into TechPath. Joining me today is Daniel Crothers, who is the co-founder and COO over at VeVe. Great to have you on the show, Daniel.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
Excellent, excellent. So you're coming into, you guys are in New Zealand, is that right?
That is correct. Yeah, myself and co-founder David, based out of New Zealand.
Great, great. It's interesting. We see a lot of, especially metaverse game developers, a lot of NFT designers in Australia and New Zealand. It's a very big hotbed there. So very cool to have you on the show today. I want to get into a few things before we get too far into VeVe, and because we have a lot of early adopters here, and then we have a lot of newbies that come onto our show. Kind of explain the VeVe mission, what you guys are trying to do overall, for somebody that is maybe just getting into collectibles or really just understanding the basis of what you guys are doing.
Sure thing. So really our mission with VeVe, when we started back in 2017, was really to bring the physical collectible world into the digital space. The collectible industry is massive, 300 plus billion per year. And with the advent of new technologies such as blockchain and NFT, the power on mobile phones, we saw a really good opportunity to, create something that was potentially quite disruptive for the collectible industry. And, as I mentioned, VeVe really is focused around collecting, and we just use a lot of different technologies
Yeah.
to try to make that happen.
I'm a VeVe user. I like first of all, the web app design is very elegant. Few things I'll probably send you a note because there's some things with login that I hate, and I'm always like, geez, this login scenario of getting into my app is a little bit interesting. But anyway, that's just me being a diva when it comes to apps because I'm really loving it. But overall, the app UI and what you guys have done is just short of phenomenal. I mean, it's really a great looking product. When
Thank
you
you.
look at your achievements that you guys have really kind of gone across since 2018, kind of walk me through some of the big elements that you have achieved over that period of time up till now.
So I think the the major one is really onboarding a lot of the licensors. So when we started VeVe, we really wanted to corner a certain part of the market, and that was number one, the collectible crowd, and we wanted to bring them IP like Disney, Marvel, DC,
Mhm.
etc. So back 4 or 5 years ago, when David and I were traveling the world, meeting all of the licensors, really nobody knew what an NFT was, and we would really pitch it as digital collectibles. So it was a completely new, untried, unproven concept. And so I'd say the biggest achievements for us was really, getting over the line with a lot of these licensors. And that kind of went hand in hand with the other achievement, which was basically building out the app.
Yeah.
We actually built the product internally over about 3 years, and we sort of rebuilt it over and over. And then every time we'd go back to see some of the licensors, we'd have a new version of the product, and they slowly started to understand, what it was we were creating. So, onboarding the licensors, creating the app and getting it to the point before we launched, and then I guess the other achievement was just the uptake from the community.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's interesting, we have communities that follow our show. We've had several VV fanboys that have been on our show breaking down OMI and just the environment of collectibles in general over the period of time that we really cover metaverse and NFTs and kind of the growth in blockchain gaming. And the VV crowd is one of the I would say the most passionate. We have a kind of a handle on who the passionate crowds are, and they kind of run in certain factions, it seems like. So you guys have done a great job in terms of branding. Let's talk a little bit about some of the elements that you guys have started to roll out. One is the VeVe Artworks program launch. I also want to talk about kind of your focus in and mission toward carbon neutral NFTs, because this obviously this is a big buzzword, but at the same time, if we're talking Web3, this is the future. Talk to me about those two elements there.
Hmm. Yeah, well, just to touch on the carbon neutral side, I mean, we sort of realized early on that, working with these large providers, these large IP companies like Disney, DC, Marvel, etc., they are always going to have want to make sure that the product, whatever products they're doing, are environmentally friendly. Otherwise, everyone's going to get, flack from the community. So when we were first out there launching and choosing a blockchain, we started off with GoChain, which was very low cost, carbon neutral, and then obviously as things started to progress and evolve, we then moved over to IMX, really because of their layer 2, the carbon neutrality, and for us it is just it's a very important thing. But I'd also like to say on the carbon neutral side, like if you compare physical collectibles that people love compared to digital collectibles, the carbon footprint of creating a stone or a polystone statue or a plastic toy can be considerably high. So I really think that this new digital version of collectibles, while it might be on blockchain and that kind of thing, still goes a long way to reducing environmental footprint.
For sure. I think the future around collectibles in general, it just seems like a natural evolution, I think, around just how art and creative is going to be done in the future. Obviously, that plays well into the collectibles space. VeVe Artworks program launch, tell me more about that program.
Yes, we've been very excited to launch the artwork program. It's been in development for quite a while. And VeVe always followed a different model from what most other NFT platforms or products do, in the sense that we are more like a physical collectible, as in we bring out tens of thousands of editions, and those editions have different rarities. And that's kind of our model for the core business. But we also understand that in the world of art, people want to buy that original. They want that one of one. And obviously this is also very popular across the NFT space. So we just saw a really good opportunity with our artists and some of our licensors to really give the opportunity for these artists to sell their artworks one of one. And what I think is interesting about this space is back in the day, just as an example, an artist would paint like, say for example, a comic book cover, and then they would have that original piece of art on canvas. And those artists actually had the right to sell that one piece.
Right.
Now, obviously, when digital came along, that kind of all went out the window, and artists didn't really have the opportunity to supplement their income. So now, moving into this new one of one, we're kind of coming back full circle, allowing artists to sell these sort of one of one pieces. So we're really excited. We've got a lot of amazing artists and licensors coming onto the platform. The first one that we sold last week, there he is there, David Yu himself with Andy Warhol's hair, commissioned by Ron English, did very, very well. I think it sold for just under 30,000. So really excited about just this new type of channel and new offering. We're always wanting to bring new types of product to the platform.
Yeah, I think it's got a lot of legs with really the future of how creators are really going to excel in blockchain and kind of the future of collectibles. So I like it. I think it's a innovation I think that we'll continue to see more of. When you think about the number of unique projects that have been represented out here in the early stages of blockchain, especially around collectibles and NFTs, there's a lot of potential partnerships here. Why do you think some of the biggest brands out there have chosen VeVe to go this route? Because there's a handful of companies that could also be in this group. What makes you guys so unique and different?
I think two things. Number one, we started very early. So we've been talking to licensors for the past 3-4 years, and some of the deals that we have with licensors now took a few years for us to excuse me, to come to fruition. And I think what really resonated the most was that we always approach them as collectors. We wanted to serve the fandoms. We wanted to represent
Right.
the IP in a way that we know fans would like, rather than just being, say for example, a marketplace selling an NFT. And I know that when we were pitching towards the end, there were a lot of other companies, coming in trying to secure the deals as well. But really, I think just the fact that our approach has been very much about the collector, about the IP, about the fandom, and that really resonated with the licensors. And I think it also made it easier for them to sort of understand, what this new emerging industry was.
Well, and I think you hit on something really important. That is the ability to translate into a digital environment, and that's something that is still, I think, being explored by a lot of really great designers right now. Because translating, an in real life device, a comic, a figurine, whatever it might be in terms of a collectible, trying to translate that into a digital environment, art wise, feel, UX, all those kind of things are really critical. So I think the point, you're right, is that you guys have done a really good job with that, kind of moving it to the next level. What do you think, when you look at where VeVe could go in the future, VeveVerse, obviously you guys have presence at, Comic-Con, et cetera. There's a big potential here to really kind of connect those two audiences, the IRL audience with the true digital audience. What do you think
Mm.
that future holds for where you guys are going right now?
Yeah, it is an interesting one with the metaverse. Really, right now, Vivi is ultimately a content creation platform, and you and maybe some of your watchers will know that when we create our digital collectibles, they are always in 3D. So you can view them in augmented reality, you can
Yeah,
interact with them. And then this kind of lends itself to moving into Web3 or Metaverse, which is ultimately just a big 3D world, 3D environment. So,
for sure.
as that starts to play out, obviously we've got, content that people have already collected. And then really the natural next evolution or step is to take that content and move it into the Metaverse. Now,
Yeah.
there are quite a few complications around that in terms of, licensing, where content can and can't be shown. So I think it's still very new for this licensed IP world. But with VeVe, really it's about, we'll be taking baby steps into it. We have a vision and an understanding of where we want to go. But the metaverse is still very, very early. So I'm very interested to see sort of how it's going to evolve. And then if I can go one step further, which might seem a little bit crazy, a little bit out there, but the reality is, for me anyway, that in the next 5-10 years, augmented reality is going to be a huge part of our lives, whether it's glasses or eventually contacts. And in that world, in that mixed reality world, we're going to see digital content. So,
Yeah.
I really believe that, a Batman Todd 100 that you manage to get now could literally be sitting in the corner of your house or the corner of your office, and it will always be there, part of your world. So it's going to be very interesting just to see, as you mentioned in the beginning, where the physical and digital mix is going to go to. But yeah, I'm very excited to be a part of that and to help, potentially shape where it goes.
I'm glad you mentioned AR and mixed reality, because I do agree with you. I think that is one of the big, at least from the low-hanging fruit side of where tech movement is going, that's probably one of the ones that will be most likely accepted by a lot of people in general, across a lot of genres of gaming, NFTs, and then you can flow into the demographic side, which could be starting to get into people even my age who love collecting, or brand new collectors, or NFT collectors kind of coming into the space maybe for the very first time. So I think it will cross an interesting boundary there for demographic purposes. All right, so we want to thank our sponsors today, and that is Gala Games. Make sure and check out their new film nodes, which are on sale now. You guys, of course, can do that just by going to Gala Games. And another thing they've got going, of course, is spider tanks getting ready to release free to play. So this is a new feature coming out in terms of the game array that Gala is offering. So make sure and check that out. They do have the capability of also signing up for Gala Films, so you can actually be part of the community, start to learn a little bit more about all that. Make sure and hit the links below for more information and help the channel out. I want to get into a few questions, just a line list of questions we have around what could be really helping drive not only VeVe, but obviously Omi, the supporting token. If there's no self-custody integration preventing, what is, I guess, preventing whales from joining VeVe? When you look at,
Just repeat the question.
So is no self-custody integration preventing whales from actually joining in to VeVe? So the potential for really drawing in large collectors, people really wanted to invest a large amount.
Yeah. So recently we launched the web platform, and one of the main sort of reasons we did that is because of the onboarding in terms of the fiat on ramp. So with whenever you run through a mobile, like in-app purchases, it can be quite limited as to how much you could purchase in a single transaction. So one of the advantages with the web platform was the ability to tap into the credit card network, which allows people to bring in a lot more fiat. And we do have a few other features coming up in the future to help people, get more liquidity into the platform.
Yeah, we're showing some examples of the app use in play there. As far as physical NFT displays, converting a lot of this, what we have within our VeVe apps, being able to flip that over to maybe like a smartwatch, a TV, a digital frame, all those sorts of things. What's the potential for that in the future?
I think it's huge. I mean, it's something that Dave and I have spoken about quite a lot. Obviously, there's a lot of great quality digital frames coming out in the world right now. And I think there's also a lot of opportunity for smart TV apps as well. That is something that is on our roadmap. I personally think it would be amazing if, when I'm not watching TV, if I could have my VeVe collection, or like we see on screen here, looking through my showroom. I think that's really one of the ways that this digital collecting is going to enter the real world, is through these kind of mechanisms, whether it's a digital frame or TV app. So I absolutely believe that is the way.
What about utility? That's one of the, I think it's one of the knocks right now on the NFT industry overall. You have some NFTs that have really unique utility. They kind of extend the digital experience with some sort of in real life or other digital utility aspect. Where do you see that going with how you guys are going to integrate that into the services inside the VeVe app?
So I mean, it is an interesting one, utility. Obviously, it's something that is here to stay. Will more than likely always be part of NFTs. But when you come from a collector background, if I go and buy a statue of Iron Man, and I put it on my desk, like, that is the utility of it. I'm buying that piece because I love it, and I love the character. I want to see it. I want it around me. So I don't believe that every collectible, every NFT actually needs utility beyond the ability to look at it, interact with it, in the same way that you would with a real physical statue. However, with NFTs, there obviously is a great opportunity to build in this utility, and we have obviously done some drops with utility built in, like with the Disney Plus week, where everybody who purchased a Disney Plus collectible got 6 months free Disney Plus subscription. We've also done other utilities with movie chains, etc. So it's really interesting in this licensor space. That licensors are really starting to understand that this is a very good way to either retain existing fans, or bring new people into the platform, and in a way offer it as a digital item as opposed to a physical item.
Yeah. Interesting aspect there, because I think that will be, to me, is going to be the big leverage point for NFTs, is how utility is integrated in some way, in creative ways,
Mm.
in the future for
Yeah.
sure. Couple of questions in, and then I want to get into some of my questions around Omi. Um, Incorporating more game assets, number one, and then also any kind of social media integration. We are seeing some movement with partnerships with Instagram, TikTok, others that would be
Mhm.
very, I think, very welcoming of something like this that could be tied to a digital collection, especially through VeVe. What are your thoughts on
Mhm.
those kinds of potential use cases?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I love it. The sort of PFP. I mean, the person who got that one of one. I mean, amazing to be able to have that as your profile picture, and verifiable. A lot of collecting is around bragging rights. You get that number
Yeah,
one, you get that one of one, or that low edition, or the secret rare. So it is something that we are absolutely looking into. Again, we have to tread a bit carefully, because we're actually using other people's IP. So
right.
we can't just go and roll that out, wherever we want. There are some sort of, sensitivities around that, but ultimately, I really believe that that is where we're going to end up going. And that kind of social integration, yeah, like I say, is just a great way for people to get those bragging rights.
Yeah, for sure. I would love that. I think that just being able to see that kind of become a thing right now, even though I think to a certain extent collectors kind of already do this now with physical goods, because they'll do everything from, comics to watches, you name it, that are really
Mm.
kind of moving in that direction, which it kind of skirts that IP boundary, but obviously as a commercial entity, it changes things a little bit there. Let's get into OMI topics here. One, I want to know about a couple of things. Obviously, I'm an OMI investor, full disclosure, guys. OMI staking, also potential for listing OMI to where it's easier to get to, because it's a little bit of a hurdle to go and grab OMI today. What's the plan there for OMI?
Mm. Yeah, so we have a big plan for OMI, which is the OMI Utility Plan, which we have touched on with our audience in the past. We really hope to have rolled out a lot more of the OMI features into the app by now. But since we launched the platform, January last year, it literally just went crazy. I mean, the amount of people that we expected to come in was 20, 30x. So we actually had to spend a lot of our engineering time on the app, making sure that we could deal with the capacity and the growth, and really making sure that the core functionality was locked down. And during that time, the product sort of changed. Ebbs and flows as to how the product has ended up where it is today. So I think one of the advantages is now we have a stable collectible environment, and that's really given us an opportunity to go back and look at the tokenomics and really see, now that we know what the system is, it's XYZ, and we've got a lot of very cool features that we will be rolling out. I think sometime over the next 1 to 2 months, we're going to be releasing the updated OMI utility program. And that has things like staking, OMI to NFT, all of these things which we've
Yeah.
always spoken about in the past. I know VeVe is sometimes slow, but we always deliver in the end. Yeah, so we've got a lot of the staking, and really, the idea here is that we want to create an ecosystem with the token that works in very well with the VeVe app.
Yeah.
After we launched and the app had to change a little bit, things got a bit disconnected. So I am very excited about rolling out the OMI utility program.
It sounds like you guys got some big stuff coming, so this is going to be a good one to watch for sure. What about OMI gem swaps? Would that be also included in kind of that roadmap?
We do have something along those lines. However, from my perspective, we need to be careful about how much sell pressure we put on OMI, right? So let's say,
Yeah.
for example, you put a whole lot of OMI into the platform, and then
Yep.
you withdraw that as dollars. Okay, we as a business would have to sell down that OMI in order to make to get the funds that you just cashed out. So, it's something that we have always tried to avoid when building the platform. As the economy gets bigger and stronger, maybe it is something that we will bring in. But for now, we do have some other mechanisms to go from OMI to Gem.
Yeah.
But really, I think the main utility is the OMI to NFT.
Yeah, that's going to be a big one for sure. Okay, so I'm a big self-custody person. I love holding my tokens on ledgers and different devices out there. What about getting ledger integration with OMI? Any plan for that? That would be great.
Well, I mean, yes, right now it is because it's ERC 20. I mean, technically you can store it on your ledger right now. But I think we probably need to be bigger profile before
Yeah.
we can get onto these bigger these sort of main wallets. And ultimately, we're going through a number of different steps, rolling out a bunch of different features, and I think it's just inevitable that we will end up getting to that point.
I like it. That's going to be good stuff. When you look at 2022, I mean, we're already halfway through here, more than half now. Any
Mm.
major release or major development within the VeVe kind of roadmap that you're really thinking, hey, this is kind of going to be our big one for this year?
Mm. I think really it's around product. So, we brought out the one of ones. We've got some other really cool products coming out, which I would absolutely love to tell you, but I probably shouldn't. But really,
Go
I think
ahead.
it's moving
Go ahead,
forward.
Dan. You can just come clean
Uh,
right here. It's okay. We're amongst
I
friends.
might I might get in trouble. I might get in trouble if I do that. And really, I think it's we've got a very stable platform now, and it's really about a lot of these more sort of micro features, like bringing out metadata, rolling out the whole payout feature, getting the OMI utility program underway, improving the search social feed. So there are a couple of big things, but I think really, moving forward from here, it's about really improving on what the audience already likes and is already using.
Cool. I like it. All right, last question to you, and I'm thinking partnerships, especially around the retail side. AMC's making waves all the time with NFTs. You've got other players in the retail sector that are starting to look at NFT use cases. Could we see some sort of integration with VeVe into a retail environment like that?
I would say yes. And in fact, there is a term for it, which is called Phygital, which is
Yep.
half physical, half digital. And as I mentioned earlier, like for example, we've been approached by advertising agencies who might do who would typically do a physical toy giveaway, say at a supermarket. However, when the supermarkets do that, they get a lot of negative backlash because of the environmental issues of producing these plastic toys, etc. So that's why I was saying earlier, digital redemption, I think, is going to be a big part. But also, in terms of the link between a physical item and a digital, like if I go and buy a Batman statue, maybe I get the free digital version with it. I really think we're going to start to see a lot more of that in the future in certain areas.
Cool. I'm looking forward to that because I'm excited every time I see, and I'm kind of a big fan of AMC. Just their strategy, I think overall, they're a little bit edgy, and they're starting to kind of shake the trees a little bit in terms of how retailers are utilizing the phygital aspect of, especially where blockchain could go, and what especially around creative, which I think is just such a nice
Mm.
niche. Music, I think, will play into this in the future. We'll probably see some more things around film, all that kind of stuff, kind of play into it for the future as well. But hey, Daniel, it has been great having you on the show, breaking down VeVe and everything that's happening over there. We're looking forward to everything you guys are doing. So thanks for stopping in today. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Paul.
You bet. All right, so you guys are tuned in over to our podcast right now. Make sure and grab our YouTube channel. This is the best place to catch all these great interviews where we do deep dives just like this with people like VeVe and others around the metaverse, blockchain gaming, NFT creators, as well as our traditional crypto asset breakdowns. We do all that right here on YouTube. Of course, you can catch all that. Make sure and join the Diamond Circle. It's really easy. It's part of our big group where we drop a lot of inside baseball stuff, inside crypto stuff that comes in an email a couple times a week. We do AMAs, all kinds of cool stuff there. If you guys want to reach me, it is out there on Twitter at Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.